If you're confused on the difference between decimal places and significant figures, then this video on rounding should clear all that. So question number 1, we're rounding 6.57 to the nearest integer. Now an integer is a whole number, so we need to round 6.57 to the nearest whole number. Now the technique for rounding we're going to be using is called the chop-off method. You basically chop off everything after what you're rounding to. So in this case, that's after the 6, that's our whole number there. Now if the number after the chop-off is a 5 or above, then your original number rounds up. If it's below 5, then it stays put. So the number we've got after our chop-off is a 5, so it's going to round up to 7 there. Same in the next one, we're rounding to the nearest 10, so we're going to locate the tens column, which is the 8 there. We chop off everything after that, and since the number after the chop-off point is below 5, that stays put, so it's going to be 38, and then we shove a 0 there for 380 as our final answer. Question number 3, we're rounding to 1 decimal place. That basically means we want 1 digit after the decimal place, so that's going to be after the 3. And since we've got an 8 after the chop-off, that's actually going to go up to 5.4. 2 decimal places, we want 2 numbers after the decimal, so that's going to be a chop-off at that point there. And since we've got a 6 after our chop-off point, that needs to round up. Now this is an interesting one here, because if we round 29 up, it's actually going to become 30. So we get 0.30. Question 5, we're rounded to 2 significant figures. Now I'll just explain quickly what significant figures are. Our first significant figure is our first number that we encounter that is not 0. So that's going to be the 3 here. That's our first significant figure. So 1 would be the second, 2 would be the third significant figure, and 5 would be the fourth. So since we're rounding to 2 significant figures, that's the 1, right? That's our second significant figure. So we chop off everything after that. And since the number we have after our chop off is less than 5, it's going to stay as 3, 1, and then we just put zeros to fill the rest of the number in. Because of course, if we left it as 31, it would make no sense to round 3,125 to just 31. Now in this next number here, we're rounding to 3 significant figures, and remember we said our first significant figure is the first number that we encounter as we go along that isn't 0. So 8 would be our first significant figure. Now the other important point is, once you've started counting, zeros are then considered significant figures. So 8 is our first significant figure, 0 is our second significant figure, and 2 is our third significant figure. So that's our chop off point there, so we chop off everything afterwards. And since we've got a 9 after that, that 2 on the end is going to round up to a 3, and we get 0.0803. Here's some for you to try. Pause the video and give them a go.